A new dawn on Illyria. The planet Illyria was a world of vibrant colors and diverse landscapes, filled with lush forests, sparkling rivers, and majestic mountains that reached for the skies. It was a place where the sun rose with a golden hue, casting a warm light over everything it touched. But for Orena Serapi, this day was different. Today marked 1 year since the loss of her beloved husband, Ain Seraphiel, a soldier who had bravely defended their home. The bittersweet memories of their life together weighed heavily on her heart. Orena stood at the edge of a cliff overlooking the serene ocean, the wind playfully tugging at her long, flowing robes. The sky was painted in shades of purple and pink, reminiscent of the beautiful moments she had shared with Ain. As she gazed out at the horizon, her thoughts drifted to her daughter, Layla, who was still blissfully unaware of the sorrow that shadowed her mother's heart. Orena closed her eyes and inhaled deeply, hoping the cool breeze could carry away some of her pain. "Mama," Layla's voice called out, breaking Orena's reverie. The little girl appeared at the edge of the cliff, her small figure a mirror of her mother's grace, with bright blue skin and wide, innocent eyes. In her hands, she clutched a worn-out stuffed toy, a reminder of her father, who had left this world too soon. "Why are you sad?" Orena turned to her daughter, her heart aching at the sight of the child who had lost so much at such a young age. "I'm not sad, my love," she replied softly, kneeling to embrace Layla. "I just miss your father. He loved us very much." Layla's innocent eyes searched her mother's face for answers. Will he ever come back? The question pierced through Orena's heart like a dagger, a painful reminder of the finality of death. "No, sweet Layla," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "But he is always with us, in our hearts and in our memories." Layla nodded, her understanding as pure as the morning light that enveloped them. As they made their way back home, Orena made a silent vow. She would find a way to bring joy back into their lives, to ensure that Layla grew up surrounded by love and laughter, even if it meant seeking something, or someone, she had never imagined. The unexpected visitor. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and orange, Orena sat by the window of their modest home. The gentle sounds of the ocean provided a soothing backdrop, but her mind was restless. The decision she had made earlier weighed heavily on her, a choice to find a father figure for Layla. The enormity of this decision filled her with uncertainty and fear. How could she possibly find someone who could fill Ain's shoes? Suddenly, a strange noise shattered the peaceful evening. A loud, piercing sound echoed across the valley, followed by a streak of silver cutting through the sky. Orena's heart raced as she ran outside, her instincts taking over. What could it be? An intruder? An accident? Her thoughts raced, fear for her daughter's safety flooding her mind. "Layla, stay inside," she called out, her voice firm, but tinged with urgency. The little girl, sensing her mother's anxiety, nodded obediently, her wide eyes filled with curiosity. As Orena reached the cliff's edge, she saw the ship spiraling out of control, smoke billowing behind it as it hurtled toward the ground. She felt an instinctive need to protect her world and her daughter. Without a second thought, she sprinted toward the crash site, her heart pounding in her chest. The impact shook the earth beneath her feet, a thunderous sound that echoed in the quiet night. Orena steadied herself and approached the wreckage, smoke swirling around her like a dark cloud. The ship was unlike anything she had seen, bulky and strange, with symbols she did not recognize. The wreckage lay strewn across the valley, and she could feel the heat radiating from the metal. "Is anyone there?" Orena called out, her voice trembling as she cautiously approached the ship. She scanned the debris, her heart racing with the possibility of encountering danger. But amidst the chaos, she heard a faint groan, a sound of pain. With a deep breath, Orena stepped closer, her instincts screaming for caution. As she peered inside, her eyes adjusted to the dim light. A figure lay slumped against the wall, half covered by debris. He was human, or mostly human, his rugged features marred by blood and dirt. His uniform was torn, but she could still make out an insignia on his chest. "Help me," the man whispered, his voice barely audible. Orena's heart ached for him. She had faced loss and hardship. She couldn't abandon someone in need. "Hold on," she replied, quickly moving to free him from the wreckage. The task was challenging, but Orena was fueled by a surge of adrenaline. She carefully removed the debris, exposing the man's face and chest. He was gravely injured, but alive. "A bond forms. Can you walk?" she asked, her voice calm despite the chaos surrounding them. The man nodded weakly, his face a mask of pain. Orena wrapped an arm around him, helping him to his feet. He was heavier than she anticipated, and she felt his weight pulling her down, but she steadied herself. Together, they staggered out of the wreckage, and as they emerged, the moonlight illuminated their path. Orena's home was not far, and she knew she could tend to his injuries there. With each step, she felt a strange connection to this man, as if he were woven into the fabric of her destiny. "Where am I?" he rasped as they walked. "You're on Illyria," Orena replied, glancing at him. "My name is Orena Serapi." "Jack O'Connor," he managed to say, his eyes drifting closed as exhaustion threatened to take him. Orena guided him toward her home, her mind racing with questions. Who was this man? What had brought him to her planet? They finally reached her door, and Orena pushed it open, feeling a rush of relief wash over her as she helped him inside. Lila appeared, her small frame silhouetted by the firelight, curiosity painted across her face. "Who is he, Mama?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Orena quickly assessed the situation, knowing she needed to protect her daughter from the realities of their world. "He's someone who needs our help, my love," Orena replied, her voice steady. "Can you bring me the first aid kit?" Layla nodded and hurried to retrieve it, while Orena guided Jack to a chair. She quickly set to work, tending to his wounds with gentle care, her thoughts still swirling with uncertainty. But as she patched him up, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Perhaps, just perhaps, this man's arrival could change everything for them both. As the fire crackled in the background and the night deepened around them, Orena realized that she had stepped onto a path she had never expected, a path that could lead to healing, connection, and a new beginning for both her and Lila. Little did she know that this stranger, Jack O'Connor, would become a pivotal part of their lives, intertwining their fates in ways she could never have imagined. The unraveling of secrets. As dawn broke over Illyria, the first rays of sunlight spilled into Orena's modest home, illuminating the small living space with a golden hue. The soft sound of waves lapping against the shore provided a calming backdrop, but for Orena, the peace felt fragile. Jack O'Connor, the stranger who had fallen from the sky, was still asleep in the chair where she had left him the night before. She had done her best to tend to his wounds, but uncertainty lingered in the air like a thick fog. A morning of new beginnings. Lila was the first to awaken, her small feet padding softly on the wooden floor. She wandered into the room, her curious eyes wide with wonder. The sight of Jack, resting in their home, filled her with excitement. "Is he still here, Mama?" Lila asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as she stepped closer to the sleeping man. "Yes, he is, my love," Orena replied, kneeling beside her daughter. "He needs our help, and we're going to take care of him." Layla nodded, her wide eyes sparkling with a mix of curiosity and compassion. "Can I help too?" Orena smiled, her heart swelling with pride at her daughter's kindness. "Of course. Let's make him some breakfast first, and then we can see what else we can do." As they moved about the kitchen, Orena prepared a simple meal of fruits and grains, the scents filling the air and mingling with the salty breeze from the ocean. The warmth of the morning sun slowly eased the tension in her chest, though a nagging worry still lingered at the back of her mind. Jack awakens. After breakfast was ready, Orena glanced at Jack, still slumbering peacefully. She could see the bandages she had wrapped around his torso, a stark reminder of the danger he had faced. With a soft nudge, she gently shook his shoulder. "Jack, it's time to wake up," she said, her voice soothing. His eyelids fluttered open, revealing tired yet striking green eyes that met hers. Confusion washed over his face for a moment before he remembered where he was. "Morning," he croaked, attempting to sit up. Orena hurried to his side, offering support as he struggled against a stiffness in his body. "Take it easy. You've been through a lot," she cautioned, her hand resting on his shoulder, grounding him. Jack managed a weak smile, appreciation shining in his eyes. "Thanks for saving me, again." Orena laughed softly, her worries momentarily lifting. "Let's get you some food. You need your strength." As they shared breakfast, Lila sat across from Jack, her eyes filled with fascination. "What's your ship like?" she asked, her innocence shining through. Jack's face lit up with a mix of pride and nostalgia. "It's called the Starbreaker. It's big and fast, like a shooting star. We travel to different planets, meet new people, and explore the unknown." Lila's eyes widened in amazement. "Can you take me with you?" Orena chuckled, but Jack shook his head gently. "I'm afraid I can't take you anywhere right now, little one. My ship needs fixing, and I need to recover first." Building trust. As the morning progressed, Jack began to share stories about his adventures in space. Orena listened intently, captivated by his tales of distant planets, strange creatures, and the wonders of the galaxy. There was an undeniable charm about Jack. His spirit was infectious, and even in his vulnerable state, he managed to inspire hope. "Do you think we'll ever see the stars up close?" Lila asked, her voice filled with longing. "Absolutely," Jack replied, his smile warm. "But first, you have to promise me something. Always keep your curiosity alive. It's the best tool you can have." Orena watched as Lila nodded eagerly, her youthful enthusiasm lighting up the room. It struck Orena how much her daughter needed this, an exciting perspective, a glimpse of adventure beyond their quiet world. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Orena began to prepare for the day. She needed to gather supplies and figure out how to help Jack repair his ship. The thought of sending him back into the vastness of space both thrilled and terrified her. What if he needed to leave? Could she allow that, knowing the connection they had formed in such a short time? "Jack," she said, her tone turning serious, "how did you end up crashing on Illyria?" Jack's expression shifted, the playfulness fading slightly. "We were on an exploration mission, mapping out unknown sectors of space. Something went wrong. An engine failure, I think. It all happened so fast." He paused, the memory clearly painful. "I don't remember much after that." Orena felt a pang of empathy. "You must have been scared." "I was," he admitted. "But I'm not afraid anymore, not here with you and Lila. You both have shown me kindness when I least expected it." A plan takes shape. The conversation shifted as Orena began to outline her plan to help Jack. "We'll need to gather tools and materials from the nearby market. I might also need to contact some of the locals for assistance. They might have the parts you need." Jack nodded, his eyes brightening with determination. "I can help. I may be injured, but I can guide you on what to look for." With a sense of purpose brewing between them, they finished their breakfast and prepared to head out. Orena slipped on a pair of sturdy boots, and Layla grabbed her favorite toy, a small, colorful alien figure, to accompany them. The thought of venturing into the outside world filled Orena with a mix of excitement and anxiety. As they stepped outside, the warm sun kissed their skin, and the vibrant sounds of Illyria filled their ears. The marketplace was not far from their home, bustling with life. Merchants called out, showcasing their wares, fruits, textiles, and various tools glimmering in the sunlight. "Stay close," Orena instructed, her maternal instincts kicking in as they entered the crowd. An unexpected encounter. As they navigated through the busy market, Orena kept a watchful eye on Leela, who was captivated by everything around her. Jack, despite his injuries, walked with a steadying presence beside them, providing a sense of security. Suddenly, they spotted a group of men gathered around a stall, their voices raised in excitement. Orena's heart sank as she recognized the unmistakable insignia on their uniforms. They were part of a faction known for their aggressive stance toward outsiders. She instinctively pulled Layla closer, the protective instinct surging within her. "Let's move away from here," she whispered to Jack, her voice low. But it was too late. One of the men turned, noticing them. "Hey, look at that. An outsider," he shouted, pointing a finger in their direction. Jack tensed, and Orena could see the tension in his posture. "Let's go," she urged, trying to lead them in the opposite direction. "Why are you with him?" Another man called out, stepping forward with a sneer. "You shouldn't be associating with that one. He could be dangerous." Jack clenched his jaw, his earlier charm replaced with a look of defiance. "I'm not dangerous. I just need to repair my ship and leave." The lead man scoffed. "You think we'll let a stranger just leave? You're in our territory now." Rising tensions. Orena felt the atmosphere shift, the tension thickening in the air. Her instincts screamed for her to protect Layla, and she stepped forward, standing tall. "We mean no harm. We're just trying to help a friend in need." "Friend?" The man laughed, a cruel glint in his eyes. "You're putting yourself in danger by being near him. You have no idea what you're dealing with." Before Orena could respond, Jack stepped forward, his voice steady. "I am not your enemy. I've come in peace, and I only wish to leave your planet without causing trouble." The men exchanged glances, their expressions hardening. Orena's heart raced as she assessed the situation. She had to think quickly to protect her daughter and Jack. "We don't want any trouble," she said firmly, her eyes locking onto the lead man's. "Let us be on our way." The man narrowed his eyes, considering her words. "You're lucky we're in a good mood today, but don't think this is over. We'll be watching you." With that, the men stepped back, allowing them to pass. Orena breathed a sigh of relief as they moved away from the stall, but she could feel Jack's tension beside her. "Are you okay?" she asked, glancing at him. Jack nodded, though his expression was grave. "I didn't expect to run into them here. They have a reputation for being hostile to newcomers." "I could see that," Orena replied, her heart still racing. "We need to be careful. They won't hesitate to cause trouble if they see you again." Layla, oblivious to the danger they had just faced, looked up at Jack. "Are you really a hero, Captain Jack? You stood up to those mean men." Jack smiled, his demeanor softening. "I don't know about hero, but I try my best to be brave." Orena felt a warmth spread in her chest at the bond forming between her daughter and this man. Despite the obstacles ahead, there was something special about this connection, an unexpected alliance that could lead to both healing and adventure. Homeward bound. With their supplies gathered and the threat of the faction lingering in their minds, they made their way back home. Orena's thoughts were a whirlwind of plans and concerns. What if the men returned? What if they tried to disrupt Jack's repairs? As they reached their home, Orena took a moment to catch her breath. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across their yard. Jack leaned against the doorframe, his expression contemplative. "Are you okay?" she asked again, her concern genuine. Jack shrugged, but his eyes met hers with a flicker of vulnerability. "I'll be fine. I just didn't expect to get caught up in conflict so soon after crashing." Orena nodded, understanding the weight of his words. "I wish I could promise you safety, but here we must be cautious." "I get that," Jack replied, his tone steady. "And I appreciate you looking out for Layla and me." The evening settled around them, and Orena felt a sense of determination rising within her. She wouldn't allow fear to dictate their lives. Instead, she would embrace the challenge and ensure that Layla grew up knowing bravery and resilience. As night fell, they gathered around the fire inside, the warmth enveloping them like a protective shield. Jack shared more stories, weaving tales of far-off planets and adventures that captivated Lila's imagination. Orena watched her daughter, her heart swelling with pride and hope. In this new friendship with Jack, perhaps they could find not just healing but a renewed purpose. They were bound by the stars, and together they would navigate the unknown. The journey of healing. The following morning, the world outside Orena's home came alive with the vibrant sounds of nature. Birds chirped joyfully, and the gentle rustle of leaves filled the air as a soft breeze swept through the lush landscape of Illyria. Inside, however, the atmosphere was tinged with anticipation and determination. Today marked a pivotal moment for Orena and Jack as they set out to repair the Starbreaker, the ship that had brought him to their world in desperate need of help. Plans in motion. After a simple breakfast, Orena gathered supplies for the day ahead. She filled a sturdy bag with tools, food, and water, ensuring they had everything they needed for their journey to the crash site. Lila, full of youthful energy, buzzed around the house, excited about the adventure that awaited them. "Can I help carry something, Mama?" Lila asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Of course, my love. Here, take this small bag of tools," Orena replied, handing her daughter a light satchel filled with small essential items. "Just be careful, some of them are sharp." Lila nodded solemnly, her small hands gripping the bag tightly. Orena smiled, her heart warming at her daughter's eagerness to contribute. It was moments like these that reminded her of the strength they both possessed, even in the face of uncertainty. As they prepared to leave, Jack emerged from the small bedroom he had occupied since his arrival. The bandages Orena had wrapped around his wounds were still in place, but he appeared more alert and determined than he had the previous day. "Ready to get to work?" he asked, a hint of excitement lacing his voice. "Absolutely," Orena replied, her confidence buoyed by his energy. "We'll make sure the Starbreaker is ready to fly again." With their bags packed and their spirits high, the trio set off toward the valley where Jack's ship lay in ruins. The journey was a familiar one for Orena, but this time it felt different. There was a sense of purpose that accompanied them, a shared mission to heal not just the ship, but also the wounds left by the tragedies in their lives. The crash site. As they arrived at the crash site, the sight of the wreckage sent a wave of mixed emotions through Orena. The ship, once sleek and powerful, was now a twisted heap of metal and smoke. Jack approached the remnants with a heavy heart, the memories of his crew and their mission flooding back to him. "Just a little more," he murmured under his breath, determination hardening his features. Orena watched as he navigated the wreckage, his hands moving over the parts, assessing the damage. Lila stood nearby, clutching her toy, her innocent eyes wide with curiosity. "What's that part for?" she asked, pointing at a broken piece of machinery. "That's the ship's power core," Jack explained, needing to examine it closely. "Without it, we can't get the engines running. I think I can salvage it, but I'll need some tools and materials." Orena wasted no time. "Let's set to work. If we can get this part fixed, we can focus on the other damages." Together, they began to clear away debris and sort through the wreckage. Orena felt a sense of camaraderie growing among them, the challenges they faced forging a bond that deepened with each passing moment. She was not just helping Jack, she was also teaching Lila resilience and the value of teamwork. A moment of reflection. As they worked, the morning sun rose higher in the sky, casting warmth over the valley. Jack and Orena exchanged stories while they toiled, laughter punctuating their hard work. Jack shared tales of his crew, each member a vibrant personality with dreams and ambitions. "There was this one time on a planet called Zephyra," Jack chuckled. "We got caught in a storm that turned the sky purple. The winds were howling, and we almost lost control of the ship. But we worked together and we made it out. That's what being a crew is all about, trusting each other no matter what." Orena listened intently, captivated by his words. "It sounds like you had quite an adventure. I've always believed that challenges are easier to face when you're not alone." Exactly, Jack replied, a warmth spreading in his chest. And that's why I'm grateful for your help. This is more than just fixing a shit for me. It's about finding a new family. The word struck a chord within Orena. Family. It had been a long time since she had thought of that word without pain. With Aim gone, the notion of family had felt shattered. But now, with Jack and Lila by her side, the idea of rebuilding what had been lost began to take root. As they continued working, Orena couldn't help but reflect on the changes in her life. The arrival of this stranger had brought hope where there had been none. Perhaps together, they could forge a new path, one filled with possibilities rather than sorrow. An unexpected setback. Just as they were beginning to make progress on the power core, a sudden noise startled them. A rustling sound emerged from the nearby brush, causing Orena's heart to race. Jack instinctively stood protectively in front of Lila, his eyes scanning the area. "Stay close," he whispered, his voice steady. Moments later, a small creature darted out from the bushes. It was a native Illyrian critter, resembling a cross between a rabbit and a lizard, with vibrant scales and large, curious eyes. It paused, staring at the trio, its little nose twitching. Lila burst into laughter, relief washing over her. "Look, Mama, it's so cute." Orena chuckled, the tension dissipating as the creature approached, cautiously sniffing at the tools scattered on the ground. Jack relaxed his stance, amusement replacing the concern he had felt just moments before. "Looks like we have a friend," he said, crouching down to meet the creature's curious gaze. As if sensing Jack's gentle demeanor, the critter took a few steps closer and nuzzled against his hand. Lila squealed with delight, kneeling beside Jack to pet the creature. "Can we keep him, Mama? Please," she pleaded, her eyes wide and hopeful. Orena smiled at the scene before her. "We can't keep him, but we can let him be our little helper while we work. He might find us some useful things." The creature seemed to understand, bounding off into the bushes and returning moments later with a small metal rod, shiny and intact. Jack raised an eyebrow, impressed. "Looks like he has a knack for finding tools." Progress and connection. The incident lightened the mood, and they resumed their work with renewed energy. Jack, buoyed by the unexpected companionship, shared more stories about his travels, while Orena contributed her own tales of life on Illyria. "The best part about this planet," she explained, "is that every day feels like a new adventure. The forests are full of secrets, and the ocean sings its own songs." Jack smiled, his eyes reflecting the warmth of the sun. "It sounds like a dream. I've seen many beautiful worlds, but your passion for this one is inspiring." Orena felt a flush of warmth at his words. For so long, she had buried her dreams under grief and loss. But here, in Jack's presence, she found herself slowly awakening to the possibilities that life still had to offer. As the hours passed, they finally managed to repair the power core. Jack connected the salvaged parts, and the ship emitted a low hum, signaling life returning to its systems. "We did it," Jack exclaimed, a triumphant grin breaking across his face. Lila jumped up and down, her laughter ringing through the valley. "We're going to fly again. We're going to see the stars." Orena felt a swell of pride as she watched them celebrate. In that moment, she realized that this journey wasn't just about fixing a ship. It was about rebuilding lives, forging new bonds, and reigniting the hope that had flickered dimly in her heart. The bond deepens. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow across the landscape, Orena felt a sense of fulfillment washed over her. They had accomplished so much in one day, and she couldn't help but wonder what other adventures awaited them. "We should head back soon," she suggested, glancing at the horizon where the sky was beginning to darken. "We can return tomorrow to continue the repairs." Jack nodded in agreement, a satisfied smile still on his face. "Sounds good to me. I can't wait to get this ship back in the air." As they packed up their tools, Jack turned to Orena. "Thank you for everything. You've shown me kindness when I needed it most. I don't know how I'll ever repay you." Orena felt a warmth spread through her. You don't need to repay me, Jack. Just being here with us is enough. You've brought light back into our lives. Their eyes locked for a moment, and Orena felt a connection deepening between them, an understanding that went beyond words. It was a bond forged through shared experiences, pain and hope. Homeward bound. As they walked back to their home, the stars began to twinkle above them, casting a soft glow over the path. Lila skipped ahead, her laughter echoing in the stillness of the night. Orena and Jack walked side by side, their conversation flowing easily as they shared their dreams for the future. "What do you think will happen when we get the ship back in the air?" Jack asked, a hint of excitement in his voice. Orena paused for a moment, contemplating. "I suppose we'll have to see where the stars lead us. I've always wanted to explore beyond Illyria, but I never imagined I'd have the chance." "Then let's make it happen," Jack replied, his tone filled with determination. "We can explore together. Who knows what wonders are waiting for us out there?" Orena felt a thrill at the prospect. The universe was vast and filled with possibilities, and for the first time in a long time, she felt a spark of adventure igniting within her. As they reached home, the comforting glow of the fire welcomed them inside. Orena set to work preparing dinner while Jack and Lila engaged in playful banter. The evening unfolded with stories, laughter, and a sense of belonging that warmed Orena's heart. Through the stars, as dawn broke over Illyria, the vibrant colors of the sky mirrored the hope blossoming in Orena's heart. She woke early, feeling a sense of determination that had been absent for far too long. Today would be the day they made significant progress on the Starbreaker. The prospect of exploration and adventure beckoned to her like the stars in the night sky. A new day begins. After a quick breakfast, Orena found Jack already awake and inspecting the repairs they had made the day before. The morning sun illuminated the wreckage, casting golden rays on the metallic surfaces, giving them a new life. Jack looked up as Orena approached, his expression filled with excitement and focus. "Morning, Orena," he greeted, wiping the sweat from his brow. "I've been thinking about how to get the engines running. If we can get them operational, we might be able to leave Illyria within a few days." Orena felt a rush of exhilaration at his words. "That sounds incredible. What do we need to do?" Jack motioned for her to join him at the power core they had repaired. "We need to check the fuel lines and see if any systems were damaged in the crash. If we can restore power to the engines, we'll be able to test them." Lila entered the room, rubbing sleep from her eyes, her hair tousled and wild. "Are we going to fly today, Captain Jack?" she asked, her voice still laced with sleepiness. Jack chuckled, his smile brightening the morning. "Not yet, but we'll get closer to flying today, I promise. How about you help us gather tools again? I'll need your sharp eyes to spot anything we might miss." Layla nodded enthusiastically, her energy returning as she eagerly grabbed a small satchel filled with tools, ready to assist. Orena watched her daughter's excitement bloom, grateful that Jack had brought a sense of adventure back into their lives. The day's challenges. With their goals set, the trio ventured back to the crash site. The landscape shimmered under the morning sun, and the sound of waves crashing against the shore filled the air. As they reached the wreckage, Orena felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over her. They were no longer just fixing a ship, they were laying the foundation for new beginnings. Jack led the charge as they assessed the engines, opening panels and examining the inner workings of the ship. Orena assisted where she could, her fingers deftly maneuvering through the debris, while Jack provided guidance. The combination of their efforts was seamless, and as they worked, their bond grew stronger. "I can't believe I'm actually doing this," Jack said, a hint of disbelief in his voice. "I've traveled to countless planets, but it feels different here, like this place has a heartbeat." Orena smiled at him, her heart swelling with pride. "Illyria does have a spirit. It's a place filled with beauty and stories, and I'm glad you're here to experience it." Lila, who had been rummaging through a box of tools, looked up with wide eyes. Can we find treasures in the stars too? She asked, her imagination running wild. Jack knelt beside her, his expression serious yet playful. Absolutely. Each planet has its own treasures, waiting to be discovered. And one day, when we fly, you can help us find them. The prospect of adventure lit up Lila's face. Orena felt a mix of joy and anxiety at the thought of their future travels. There was so much uncertainty ahead, but the idea of exploring new worlds alongside Jack and Layla filled her with hope. Unexpected obstacles. As they worked on the engines, the mood shifted when a sudden noise pierced the air, a low rumble followed by a tremor beneath their feet. Orena's heart sank as she glanced around, instinctively pulling Lila close. "What was that?" Lila asked, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm not sure," Jack replied, his brow furrowing in concern. "Stay close." The ground continued to shake, and Orena felt her breath quicken. Panic rose in her chest as she scanned the area for potential dangers. Just as suddenly as it began, the tremors stopped, leaving an eerie stillness in their wake. Could it be an earthquake? Orena wondered aloud, her heart racing. Jack shook his head, his expression serious. "No, I don't think so. It feels like it came from the north, beyond the ridge. We should check it out." The discovery. Cautiously, they moved toward the ridge, Orena leading the way with Layla at her side and Jack close behind. As they crested the hill, they were met with a shocking sight. A large plume of smoke rose into the sky from the direction of a nearby forest. The air was thick with the smell of burning wood and something else, something metallic. "What's happening over there?" Layla asked, her eyes wide. "I don't know, but it doesn't look good," Orena replied, her protective instincts kicking in. "We need to be careful." As they approached the source of the smoke, they could see flames licking the treetops, the fire spreading rapidly. A sense of urgency propelled them forward, and Orena felt a chill run down her spine. "Jack, do you think it could be another crash?" Orena asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Maybe," he said, his eyes scanning the area. "We need to find out. There could be people who need help." Without hesitation, they forged ahead, the fire growing larger as they reached the edge of the forest. The heat was intense, and the sounds of crackling flames echoed ominously. Orena's heart raced with fear for those who might be trapped inside. A race against time. "Stay behind me," Jack instructed as he stepped forward, assessing the situation. "We need to find out if anyone is inside." The flames danced before them, casting eerie shadows as they crept closer. Orena's mind raced with possibilities. Who could be caught in the fire? Were they friend or foe? As they neared the entrance to what had once been a small outpost, they could see the outlines of figures moving within. "Help! We need help!" A voice called out, barely audible over the roar of the flames. Without thinking, Orena pushed through the brush, determination guiding her steps. "We're coming," she shouted, her heart pounding as they entered the burning structure. Inside, the heat was overwhelming, and Orena could barely see through the smoke. The scent of burning wood filled her lungs as she fought to focus. "Where are you?" she called, her voice strained. "Over here," another voice shouted, desperation evident. Jack moved ahead, and Orena followed, her instincts driving her forward. They navigated through the debris, finally spotting a group of people huddled together, fear written on their faces. "Stay calm. We're here to help," Jack shouted, his voice strong and reassuring. Orena quickly assessed the situation. There were 5 individuals trapped, 2 adults and 3 children. The flames were creeping closer, and time was running out. "Layla, can you help them? Show them the way out," Orena instructed, her heart racing. Layla nodded, fear replaced by determination. "Follow me," she called, leading the way with bravery that belied her age. A daring escape. With Layla guiding the group, Orena and Jack worked quickly to clear a path through the rubble. They shouted encouragement, urging the frightened individuals forward. The smoke was thick, and Orena felt the panic rising within her as they moved closer to the flames. "Keep going. You're almost there," Jack shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. Just as they were about to reach the exit, a loud crash echoed behind them. Orena turned, her heart sinking as a beam collapsed, blocking their way. Panic surged through her. "Jack, what do we do?" she cried, her voice strained with urgency. Jack took a deep breath, his eyes darting around for an escape route. "We can't turn back. We need to go through the flames." "What? Are you crazy?" Orena exclaimed, fear gripping her heart. "We have to," he insisted. "It's the only way. We can make it if we go together." Orena felt a surge of determination. If they were to save these people, they had to take the risk. "All right. On my count, we go together." Jack nodded, rallying the group. "Stay close to us. We'll get through this." Orena felt the heat intensify as they prepared to make their move. "1, 2, 3, she shouted, and they dashed forward, pushing through the flames. Triumph against adversity. The heat was unbearable, but they pressed on, following Jack's lead as he guided them through the chaos. Orena felt the warmth of the flames against her skin, but she refused to let fear overtake her. They were so close to freedom. Finally, they burst through the doorway, emerging into the open air. The cool breeze hit them like a wave, a welcome relief from the heat of the flames. Orena glanced back to see everyone emerging, tears of relief streaming down their faces. "Is everyone all right?" she called, her heart racing. "Yes," the adults shouted, gathering the children close. Layla turned to Orena, her eyes bright with adrenaline. "We did it, Mama. We helped them." Jack stood beside them, his expression a mix of relief and pride. "You were incredible, Layla." As they caught their breath, Orena couldn't help but feel a swell of pride as well. They had faced danger together, united in purpose. The fire had tested their courage, but they had emerged victorious. A new kind of family. As the sounds of crackling flames began to fade behind them, Orena turned to the group they had rescued. "We need to get you to safety. There's a village nearby where you can rest." "Thank you," one of the adults said, their voice trembling with gratitude. "We thought we were trapped for sure." "Let's get moving," Jack urged, scanning the area for any remaining danger. "We need to keep everyone safe." Together, they guided the rescued group toward the village, Orena's heart swelling with gratitude for the unexpected turn of events. In the chaos of the fire, she'd have found a renewed sense of purpose. The bonds of family weren't just defined by blood, they were forged through shared experiences, bravery, and compassion. As they walked, Orena felt a deep sense of connection forming between Jack, Layla, and herself. Together, they were more than just a team. They were becoming a family, united by the struggles they faced and the adventures that lay ahead. Uncharted territories. The village of Elindo was bustling with life as Orena, Jack, and Layla arrived. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden glow that bathed the cobblestone streets and thatched roofs. The air was filled with a delicious aroma of roasted meats and fresh bread, mingling with the sound of laughter and chatter. Orena felt a sense of relief wash over her as the villagers welcomed the rescued group with open arms, grateful for their safe return. A warm welcome. Thank you," a villager exclaimed, rushing forward to embrace one of the rescued children. Orena watched as families were reunited, the joy palpable in the air. It reminded her of her own family, of the love and warmth they had shared before Ain's passing. "Come on, let's find a place to rest," Jack said, placing a reassuring hand on Orena's shoulder. His touch grounded her, and she nodded, grateful for his presence. As they wandered through the village, they were led to a communal hall where the villagers offered them food and shelter. Orena set Layla down, allowing her daughter to explore while she and Jack spoke with the village leaders. The elders were kind and wise, their faces lined with the stories of countless generations. "You've done a great service to our people. One elder, a woman with silver hair and gentle eyes, said to Jack, "To brave the flames and rescue those in need is a testament to your character." Jack smiled, a hint of humility in his expression. It was a team effort. I couldn't have done it without Orena and Lila. Orena felt a warmth in her heart as Jack spoke. He had quickly become a part of their lives, and his bravery inspired her to confront her own fears. She had been so focused on survival since Ain's death that she had almost forgotten what it felt like to embrace the present. Bonding over shared stories. As the evening wore on, the hall filled with the sounds of laughter, stories, and the clinking of utensils against bowls. Orena, Jack, and Layla found a cozy spot at a long wooden table, surrounded by villagers eager to share their own tales. "Tell us about your adventures in the stars," a young boy exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Jack leaned forward, his enthusiasm infectious. "Well, I've been to planets where the skies are green and the rivers run with glowing liquid. We once encountered a species that could communicate through music. Every note they played told a story." Layla listened intently, her imagination running wild. "Can we go there one day? Can I bring my toy?" "Of course," Jack replied, his voice filled with encouragement. "We'll have all sorts of adventures together." Orena watched as her daughter's eyes lit up, feeling a renewed sense of hope for their future. This was what she had longed for, a life filled with wonder and exploration, rather than grief. After Jack finished his story, Orena decided to share a piece of her own past. "Before the war, this planet was a place of joy. My husband and I used to explore the forests together, discovering hidden caves and secret waterfalls. It was a paradise." The villagers listened attentively, their expressions reflecting a deep respect for her loss. The elder woman nodded, her voice soft. "Your strength is commendable. We have all faced hardship, but it is in our shared stories that we find solace." A call to adventure. As the night deepened, the conversations grew quieter, and the atmosphere became more intimate. Jack turned to Orena, his expression serious yet filled with excitement. "What do you think? Once the Starbreaker is repaired, should we set out on our first adventure together? Perhaps we could explore nearby systems or even chart new worlds." Orena felt a thrill of anticipation at the idea. "I'd love that. It would be a chance to see more of the galaxy and create new memories. I want Layla to grow up knowing there's a world full of possibilities out there." Layla beamed, her eyes wide with excitement. "Can we see the stars up close? Can we have space parties with alien friends?" Jack laughed heartily, the sound filling the hall with warmth. "Absolutely. And maybe we'll find some alien creatures that want to join in the fun." As the night wore on, the group shared more stories and laughter, forging connections that transcended the barriers of language and culture. Orena felt the weight of her past slowly lift, replaced by the warmth of newfound friendships and the promise of adventure. Preparing for departure. The next morning, as the sun broke over the horizon, Orena awoke with a sense of purpose. The village was alive with activity, villagers bustling about, preparing for the day ahead. She quickly gathered her things, eager to continue working on the ship. Jack joined her outside, his hair tousled by the wind. "I spoke with the villagers last night, and they're willing to help us gather materials for the repairs," he said, excitement evident in his voice. "They have tools we might need, and I think they'll be eager to see the ship fly again." Orena felt a surge of gratitude for the villagers' kindness. "That's wonderful news. We'll make sure to thank them properly." Together, they walked toward the center of the village, where a small gathering had formed. Villagers stood around a makeshift stage, eager to discuss the plan for the day. The elder woman from the night before stepped forward, her voice steady and commanding. "We are grateful for your bravery in rescuing our people. As a token of our appreciation, we wish to help you repair your ship. It is not just your journey that matters, it is the hope you bring to our community." Jack nodded, gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you. We couldn't do this without your support." As the villagers began to gather tools and materials, Orena felt a renewed sense of determination. With their help, they would not only repair the ship, but also strengthen the bonds between their worlds. A day of hard work. The day unfolded with a flurry of activity. Jack led the charge as they worked on the ship, instructing the villagers on what was needed while Orena assisted wherever she could. Lila, ever curious, darted around, offering tools and encouragement. Under Jack's guidance, they replaced the damaged fuel lines and secured the power core. Each step brought them closer to their goal, and the collective energy of the villagers fueled their determination. "Great job, everyone," Jack exclaimed, clapping his hands. "We're making incredible progress. If we keep this up, we might be able to test the engines by tomorrow." Orena felt a thrill of excitement at the prospect. "Imagine the feeling of being back in the stars," she said, her voice filled with hope. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the village, they stepped back to assess their work. The Starbreaker stood strong, a testament to their collective efforts. An evening celebration. To celebrate their progress, the villagers organized a feast in their honor. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the air filled with the sounds of laughter and music, creating a vibrant atmosphere. Orena and Jack found themselves at the center of the festivities, surrounded by villagers eager to share their culture. The food was a delightful array of flavors, and Orena marveled at the different dishes laid before them. Lila danced joyfully among the villagers, her laughter infectious. Orena watched her daughter, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. In this moment, surrounded by new friends and the promise of adventure, she felt alive in a way she hadn't for years. As the night wore on, Jack raised his glass, his voice cutting through the cheerful din. "To new beginnings," he declared, and the crowd erupted in cheers. "To new beginnings," echoed Orena and the villagers, their voices blending together as they celebrated the bonds they had forged. A night of dreams. Later that evening, as the festivities began to wind down, Orena found a quiet spot outside the hall, gazing up at the star-studded sky. Jack joined her, leaning against a nearby tree. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said, his voice soft. Orena nodded, mesmerized by the brilliance of the stars. "It feels like they're guiding us, showing us the way forward." Jack turned to her, his expression thoughtful. "You know, I've traveled to many worlds, but I've never felt such a strong connection to one before. There's something special about Illyria, and it's not just the beauty, it's the people." Orena smiled, warmth spreading through her. "I feel it too. The villagers have welcomed us with open arms, and it's given me hope. Hope that we can build a new life, explore the universe, and create new memories." Jack looked at her, a spark in his eyes. "Let's make that happen. Once the Starbreaker is ready, we'll chart a course for the unknown. Together." As they stood side by side, Orena felt a sense of possibility enveloping them. She had been afraid to hope for a future, but with Jack by her side, the dreams of exploration and adventure felt tangible.